Imagine you're deep in the frozen woods of North America, snow crunching under your boots, the wind howling through the trees. Suddenly you hear a guttural growl, a shadow darting just out of sight. Your heart races. Is it a bear, a wolf, or something worse? Something that hungers for human flesh? Today, we're diving into the chilling legend of the Wendigo, a creature straight out of Algonquian folklore that's been terrifying people for centuries. This isn't just a monster story, it's a window into survival, morality, and the human psyche. Over the next, we'll explore where the Wendigo comes from, what it represents, how it's involved in the pop culture, and why it still haunts us today. Let's set the scene. The Wendigo comes from the Algonquian speaking peoples, tribes like the Ojibwe, the Cree, and Algonquian, who lived across what's now Canada and northern United States. These were folks who knew the wilderness like the back of their hands. But winters up there, brutal. Starvation was a real threat, and that's where the Wendigo legend takes root. In their stories, the Wendigo, sometimes called the Wendigo, with the E in the spelling, is a spirit or a monster tied to cannibalism. Picture this: a hunter, starving in the snow, crosses a line no one should. He eats human flesh to survive. That act doesn't just save him, it curses him. He transforms into this towering, emaciated creature, gaunt, with sunken eyes, claws, and insatiable hunger. Some say it's got antlers like a deer, others say it's more human like, but twisted. Either way, it's not full anymore, and it's always hungry. But it's not just about eating someone. The myth says you could become a Wendigo in other ways: bitten by one, possessed by its spirit in your sleep, or even cursed by a shaman for greed or taboo breaking. The Algonquians saw it as a warning: don't let desperation or selfishness consume you. You'll lose your humanity. Think about that. A monster born from survival gone wrong. It's not some random boogeyman. It's a mirror for what happens when you abandon your morals. Pretty heavy stuff for a campfire tale, huh? Now here's where it gets real and really creepy. The Wendigo wasn't just a story to scare kids. It showed up in actual historical events. Let's talk about the Wendigo psychosis. Anthropologists coined this term for cases where people in these tribes believed they were turning into Wendigos or that someone else had. Take Swiftrunner, a Cree trapper in 1878. Winter hits hard. His family's starving. He's miles from hell. When traders find him later, he's alone and suspiciously well fed. Turns out he killed and eaten his wife and 5 kids. At his trial, he claimed a Wendigo spirit made him do it. The court didn't buy it. He was hanged, but the story struck. But the story stuck. Was it madness, hunger, or something supernatural? Then there's Jack Fiddler, Ojibwe shaman in the early 1900s. He and his brother claimed they killed over a dozen Wendigos, people they said were possessed and a threat to community. Canadian authorities arrested him in 1907 for murder. Jack escaped custody but took his life rather than face trial. It's tragic and raises big questions. Were these mercy killings rooted in belief or something else? For the Algonquians, the Wendigo was a cultural guardrail. Winter starvation was so common that cannibalism was a real fear. Some tribes even had rules for emergency cannibalism to avoid becoming Wendigo. It's like the myth was a way to process that trauma and keep the group together. But it's deeper than that. Elders used these tales to teach restraint, greed, Gluttony or betraying your king could turn you into a monster. It's a survival code wrapped in a horror story. Pretty smart, you think about it. Fast forward to today, the Wendigo's gone from oral tradition to our screens. Hollywood and gaming love this thing. Let's start with movies. Ever seen Ravenous from 1999? It's a dark comedy horror flick about cannibalism in the Old West with a Wendigo vibe. Gaunt soldiers chowing down on each other. Then there's a Windigo by Larry Fessenden in 2001. More artsy, but still creepy as heck. TV gets on it too. The show Hannibal, yeah, the one with Mads Mikkelsen, has a Wendigo inspired episode. The antlered imagery in Psychological Hunger, total nod to the myth, and don't sleep on Supernatural Season 1, Episode 2. They hunt a Wendigo in the woods. Classic Monster of the Week stuff. But games? That's where it shines. Until Dawn on PlayStation was Wendigo stalking a snow mountain fast. Has Wendigo stalking a snowy mountain. Fast, skeletal, and terrifying. The game ties them to cannibalism and possession, staying true to the lore while amping up the scares. Even Fallout 76 has Wendigo creatures in its Appalachian wasteland. Why is it so popular? Why is it? Why is it so popular? I think it's the mix of primal fear and moral ambiguity. The Wendigo isn't just evil; it's a human who became evil. That hits different than, say, a vampire or werewolf. Plus those icy woods, a perfect horror setting. It's like the myth was made for jump scares. So does the Wendigo still matter in 2025? Oh, absolutely. It's not just a relic, it's evolved. Some indigenous writers like Louise and uh, Louise Edricks use it in novels to explore trauma and identity. Others see it as a metaphor for colonialism, greed stripping the land and people bare like a Wendigo's hunger. Then there's the internet. Creepypastas and urban legends have spawned new Wendigo tales. Hikers hearing whispers in the woods, or campers vanishing near old Algonquian lands. Maybe a thought, though. Maybe the Wendigo's a stand in for modern excess, overconsumption, environmental ruin. Sound familiar? It's not eating people anymore, it's eating the planet. For Native communities, though, it's still scared. For Native communities, though, it's still sacred. Some elders say it's not for the outsiders to mess with. It's their story, their warning. That's worth respecting as we geek out over it. The Wendigo is more than a monster. It's a legend born from survival, fear, and the fight to stay human. From Algonquian winters to Swift Runner's trial, from Until Dawn to modern metaphors. It's a story that won't let go. What gets me is how it balances terror and meaning. It's not just about claws and cannibalism, it's about what happens when we lose ourselves. That's why it's stuck around for centuries and still gives us chills. So, what do you think? Is the window a warning we still need? Ever felt its shadow out in the woods? Imagine stumbling across a hidden cave in the desert filled with artifacts that don't just rewrite history, they hint at time travel, extraterrestrial contact, and a secret plan for humanity's future. Sounds like a sci-fi movie, right? Well, that's the Wingmakers story, a real-life enigma that's been captivating seekers, skeptics, and dreamers since the late 1990s. Today we're diving. Let's start from the beginning. Well, at least what we're told is the beginning. Back in 1996, a website pops up claiming that in the 70s, a team of explorers found a hidden cave in Chaco Canyon, New Mexico. Inside, 23 chambers, each packed with bizarre artifacts, paintings, symbols, and tech that didn't fit any known culture. The story says this was stumbled on by hikers and then handed over to a shadowy group tied to the U.S. government called ACIO, Advanced Contact Intelligence Organization. The Wingmakers claim these came from humans 800 years in our future, from the year 2740, who time traveled back to 800 AD to stash this stuff for us to find. Why? To help humanity evolve, awaken our consciousness, and prepare for some big cosmic shift. The site described a time capsule with poetry, music, philosophy, and even a device called an optical disc that supposedly held secrets we couldn't decode yet. The mastermind, or at least the public face, is a guy named James Mahou. He says he's the translator of these materials, not their creator, and that the Wingmakers are a future version of us trying to guide humanity. The original website, wingmakers.com, was the hypnotic mix of sleek design and cryptic lore. It felt like stumbling into some digital X-Files episode. Now here's where it all gets messy. No one ever found this cave. The ACIO sounds like a cool acronym, but there's no proof it exists. Skeptics say it's all a hoax, maybe a clever marketing stunt, or an art project gone wild, but believers argue the depths of the material. Hundreds of pages, intricate paintings, felt too real to be fake. What do you think so far? Hoax or hidden truth? Whether it's real or not, the Wingmakers didn't skimp on content. Let's break down what they left us, starting with the art. The paintings are stunning. Vivid colors, abstract shapes, and these glyph-like symbols that feel ancient yet futuristic. Each of these 23 chambers supposedly had one tied to a specific theme like consciousness or wholeness. They're hypnotic like staring into a cosmic puzzle. Then there's the music. The Wingmakers dropped these ambient tracks that are equal parts haunting and soothing, like synths, echoes, and tones that pull you into a trance. They claim each piece aligns with a chamber and activates something in your mind. Philosophy, where it gets heavy. The writings like the Ancient Arrow Project and later stuff like the Neruda interviews talk about a sovereign integral. This idea that we're all fragments of a universal consciousness trapped in a genetic mind prison by some alien race called the Anunnaki. The Windmaker's mission? Free us by 2012 or maybe 2023. It might be a little, I don't think they made it. Depending on which version you read. It's dense, blending spirituality with sci-fi. Think Deepak Chopra meets the Matrix. The philosophy is where it gets heavy. The writings like the Ancient Arrow Project and later stuff like the Neruda interviews talk about a sovereign integral. They even threw in poetry beautiful cryptic stuff about time and the soul. It's not just fluff, it's got layers. But the question nags, who wrote this? James Mahou says it's translated from the future, but it's so polished. Could one guy really pull this off alone? Or is it a team effort? So the Wingmaker's story doesn't stay static. Around 2001, the website shifts. The original sci-fi vibe softens. Less ACIO spy stuff, more spiritual focus. James Mahou starts releasing new works, books like The Dhamma Prophecy and Quantum, still tied to the Windmakers but leaning harder into mysticism. The calm castle idea actually fades. Now it's about personal transformation through 6 heart virtues, like compassion and forgiveness. This pivot sparks drama. Fans of the original lore called Foul, Where's My Time Travel Conspiracy? Meanwhile, new followers embrace the self-help angle. Then there's the skeptics like Mark Hempel, who hosted the site early on, hinting it might have been a creative fiction that got out of hand. No hard proof, just whispers, though. The internet's full of theories. Some say it's a cult. James Mahoo got followers buying his books and music, after all. Others call it a new age cash grab, but here's the kicker. No one's tracked down Mahoo. He's a ghost. Interviews are rare, and he claims he's just a conduit. Could it be a pen name for a group? Or, wild thought, an actual message from the future we're too dense to get? Fast forward to 2025, Wingmakers is still kicking. James Mahoo's latest novel, Scales, Fur, Feathers, and Flesh, dropped in 2024, weaving mythological creatures into multiverse tales, still linked to the Wingmakers vibe. The music and art keep evolving, with fans remixing tracks from debated meanings online. It has influenced pop culture too, echoes in Stranger Things or Arrival, time bending plots, though no direct link, of course. But what's the draw? Maybe it's the mystery. The Windmakers tap that itch for something bigger, whether it's aliens, time travel, or all spiritual awakening. In the world of AI and uncertainty, it's a story that says, hey, maybe we are more than we think. Even if it's fiction, it's a damn good one. So, in the end, is the Wingmaker Saga. The Wingmaker Saga is a head trip, part archaeological riddle, part cosmic manifesto. Is it truly a message from 2740? Is it a brilliant hoax? Or just one guy's wild imagination? What do you think? Was he on some kind of psychedelics or something to pull all this out? Who knows? What do you think? Put down Bleep Blop in the comments below and let me know what you think. So, what do y'all think of those two tonight? We try to just step away from the Cold Wars and get more to anything as possible lore. Really, do you think the Windigo were real? Were they actually time travelers, or was he, or did he make all that up? And what about the Windigo? Do you think there are actually those creatures out there, or if you do such a horrible, something completely so horrible that you turn into a terrible, terrible creature? It is, it could happen, I guess. Maybe in, not just in personal, maybe just in spirit and mind, you go past that point, if you go past a certain point, you can never go back. They say that with a lot of things. Like if you, once you cheat on your wife one time, you'll continue to do it because you cracked that barrier. Once you've done certain things like that, there's that line drawn in the sand, and once you cross it, you can't go back. What they say, I'm interested to see what y'all had to think. Like I said, I took a step back away from Cold War stuff, and I got more of that too, in projects and operations. I've been really into those lately. It's interesting to see all the crazy stuff they actually did, back in the day, and uh, how far they would go to get their agenda and what they wanted done. And thinking of today, what the potential is, or what they can do now. So that's why I bring it up. And then, but I want to get into supernatural stuff and everything like that. So that's why I brought the Windigo. and the Wingmasters. And I want to see what y'all think. Come in here and help decide what kind of, if these stories are real, or they have even if a even a bit of truth out of them. They could have been, they started on one thing and being real, and then it got exaggerated over time. It's like playing telephone. Once you go down the line so far along the line, that the whole story has changed. So it gets exaggerated after a little while. Is that what we're listening to and what we see? The possibilities there. So we have probably one of the worst things you could imagine, I guess. Especially like that one case where the guy was tried for eating his wife. That Cree trapper. He's swift runner, ate his wife and 5 kids. And I remember seeing something on that before and was talking about it, that I think he ate his wife first and fed his wife to his kids to keep them going. And then as they went along, they would take out one of the kids and continue, and he would feed the kids and keep the other ones going. And then he just ran out of kids. That's terrible, that, for them last days of them kids' life. And that wife's, the wife didn't get to see it, but the wife went first, and kids had to eat their mom. Then they had to eat their siblings until they got eaten. That's horrific. Absolutely horrific to think about. So it's wild to think. And but hunger, and the fear of not existing anymore. Uh, it's a powerful tool. Right? And I mean, back then, they firing squad or something. So he didn't last much longer. Maybe it'd been best to die with his family out there. I don't know. One of them things, that stuff like that causes, I think causes, restless spirits and stuff. So them children's running around maybe looking for their mom or something out there because dad had them eat them. That's horrible. Absolutely horrible to think about. But I hope y'all enjoy these too. Like I said, we'll keep on doing these. And again, we're steadily starting new things and trying new things. And we got some cool stuff coming down the line. So make sure you like, share, subscribe. Make sure you check out the Troubled Minds Radio Network, Digital Broadcasting, KUAP. You can see my show and so many others. Check out the lives on Wednesdays, the Talking with Conspiracies at 8:30 Central Time. Come check it out. Myself, Jamie, and Dave, we have a good conversation with a great chat, and it's really, really amazing stuff. So it's good to see, how much that has grown and how many people are listening and watching at the same time and communicating and staying on there watching it for hours. We're usually like 2 to 3 hours long, and they're on there the whole time. So it's great to see. So appreciate all the fans, and they keep on coming back. We're going to keep on keeping on. So as always, y'all keep on keeping on, and the peace and the chicken grease. I'll see y'all next time.